Have you guys ever wondered why sports have become so politicized? Even its fan bases vocally tell these leagues that they don't want politics involved. Sports continues to become more and more political. Why do you think that is? It's one of the only platforms in the country where you can reach people from diverse backgrounds. If you advertise on Fox News, you're only going to reach the far right. If you advertise on MSNBC, the far left. If you advertise on CNN, you're going to reach no one because CNN doesn't have any viewers. If you can reach the NFL audience, you have access to 40, 50 million people from different backgrounds, different political leanings. One guy may be an ardent Donald Trump supporter. The guy sitting next to him, he might be a Kobe crusader. Sports is one of the only things that brings people from all backgrounds, all walks of life together, unless you're NASCAR. I struggle calling NASCAR a sport. There's nothing athletic about driving a car in a circle for 3 or 4 hours. Now, I'm not denying the skill involved, but NASCAR drivers are not professional athletes. They're professional drivers, kind of like your Uber driver. The NFL has a diverse audience, NBA, diverse audience. NASCAR? NASCAR only appeals to a certain segment of the population. 80% of NASCAR fans are white. The vast majority are Republican. 60% live in either the South or the Midwest. Now, many people view NASCAR fans as uneducated rednecks, myself included, but I was surprised to find out NASCAR actually has an intelligent fan base. 52% of them make over $50,000 a year. 20% make over $100,000 a year. What is the number one goal of any sports league or anything in the entertainment industry? Attract and maintain an audience. If people are not buying tickets, if they're not watching you on television, you cease to exist. NASCAR has been experiencing declining ratings since 2008. Now, I know this will be hard for my younger audience to believe, but NASCAR actually used to be popular. They used to draw higher ratings than the NBA. You go back to the early to mid 2000s, the Daytona 500, it was drawing 17, 18, 19 million people. The NBA Finals back then, 11, 12 million. Last year, the NBA Finals averaged around 10 million viewers. You know what the Daytona 500 drew? 4.8 million. NASCAR has lost roughly 80% of its audience in the last 10 to 15 years. And you got to remember, they received more press coverage in 2020 and 2021 than they've received in over a decade. One of the reasons ratings have been so low, NASCAR doesn't have any stars. Now, I've never been a fan. I would rather watch Jackson Mahomes dance and make an ass of himself than spend 3 hours on a Sunday afternoon watching a NASCAR race. At least Jackson Mahomes elicits some type of emotion, mainly anger. There is nothing emotional about watching grown men drive aimlessly in circles while people in the stands chug their beer. There's nothing entertaining or emotional about it. But even a guy like me, who has never watched a full NASCAR race in his life, even I was familiar with NASCAR drivers back then. Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Richard Petty, Jimmy Johnson. Who is the biggest star in NASCAR today? They tried to make Bubba Wallace the face of the league in 2020. Look, everyone, we made up a story of fake racism on a black driver in an all-white sport. Let's victimize him and garner the sympathy of America. Maybe that will make television ratings increase. That plan backfired. I mean, who couldn't have seen that coming? I guess the NASCAR marketing department was listening to ESPN. ESPN pounded the Bubba Wallace story into the ground. Even after the feds investigated and determined that there was nothing to see here, this was simply a rope used to pull down a garage door. There was no racial undertones. But even after the federal investigation, which was a complete waste of resources, by the way, what the hell was the FBI doing, wasting their time on this bullshit? The same agency who took down the mafia was investigating a claim of fake racism. But even after that, ESPN continued to run with the story. The mainstream media, they were giving more attention to NASCAR than they had in years. They were attempting to turn Bubba Wallace into the biggest victim in a mostly white league. Now, did this victimization attract a minority audience? No, but it sure as hell ran off more of the NASCAR audience. NASCAR ratings in 2020 set record lows. The Cup Series finale, which I suppose is like the NASCAR Super Bowl where they crown the winner of the season. The Cup Series finale was watched by 3 million people. It was the least watched in the history of NASCAR. All of that increased media attention and viewership fell 18% when compared to 2019. Now, for the season, ratings were down 2% compared to 2019. Now, fast forward to 2021. Look at the ratings from the chart last year. Look at these ratings. Look at all of the red. Pocono, down 45%. Darlington, down 54%. Daytona, down 36%. Last year was even worse than 2020. Not one race hit 5 million viewers. On average, NASCAR had less than 3 million viewers for each race. Ratings were down 4% compared to 2020, down 6% from 2019. But NASCAR was given a lifeline last October. You guys ever seen the movie Titanic? I know most of you probably have. You couldn't have been alive in the late 90s and not seen that movie. You remember when the ship was sinking, all the rich people, they were sitting there on their boats, freezing their asses off. Now, what were all the other people doing? They were looking for life rafts. They were looking for anything to keep them from drowning. Think about if you were in that situation. You're in the middle of the Atlantic. You're drowning. Someone offers you a life jacket. What are you going to do? Are you going to accept it or turn it down? Is that life jacket woke? That's not a social justice life jacket, is it? If it's not, I don't want it. Please just let me drown. You're not going to say that. At that point, you don't give a shit what kind of fucking jacket it is. You just want to survive, save your life. Well, that is not the mentality at NASCAR. They were given a lifeline last October. And because that lifeline didn't fit their agenda, because it lowered their ESG score, they turned it down and continued to sink to the bottom of the Atlantic. The lifeline I'm talking about, of course, was Brandon Brown. If you're NASCAR, you could not have asked for a better scenario than Brandon Brown. This was like Austin 316 to the sinking WWF in 1996. This was LeBron James to the struggling NBA in 2003. This was steroids to declining Major League Baseball in 1998. When Vince McMahon stumbled across Steve Austin, did he grab a shovel and bury him? No, he marketed the shit out of him. He turned him into the biggest star the industry had ever seen, and they've never been able to replicate it. This movement that happened with Brandon Brown starting in October, that was like a once in a generation holy shit moment. It's something that happens once every 20 years. NASCAR had an organic movement started by their own fan base with the assist from that dumbass reporter at NBC, of course. But what did NASCAR do with it? What did they do with this potential golden goose? They didn't grab a shovel. NASCAR got a fucking bulldozer and they flattened the entire deal. They could not distance themselves enough from Brandon Brown. NASCAR President Steve Phelps, he has stated numerous times, I don't want NASCAR involved with anything of a political nature, unless it lines up with our agenda. We will continue to promote Bubba Wallace. Brandon Brown needs to go away. Steve Phelps has started a battle with his own fan base, his own audience. I haven't been to a marketing class since college, but I'm pretty sure when talking about smart marketing strategies, fighting your own audience isn't on the list. Back in December, Brandon Brown announced that he had finally found a sponsor. He had been struggling to find sponsors since the whole Let's Go Brandon thing. These giant corporations, they're too woke and too scared to be associated with them. But his sponsor was LGB Coin, the Let's Go Brandon coin, a cryptocurrency. The problem with his announcement, he made it too soon. NASCAR hadn't approved this sponsorship deal. When we talked about this a month or so ago, the approval was still pending. Well, to the surprise of absolutely no one, NASCAR didn't approve the deal. LGB Coin doesn't align with our values of true wokeism and social justice. We at NASCAR are taking this organic movement started by our fans and we are shitting all over it. What a brilliant business strategy. But this is not about business. It's not about recapturing an audience. It's not about making money. This decision was made so NASCAR could appeal to the unemployables and so their ESG score wouldn't take a hit. Here they had an opportunity to revitalize this dying brand. The NASCAR season, it starts this weekend. Does anyone care? No. Why? Because they have no stars. There are no drivers people want to support. No one gives a shit about Bubba Wallace. The movement used him. Once he served his purpose, they were done with him. That's how it always works with these people. They use you up, make you seem like a big deal for a brief moment, then they completely ignore you. NASCAR had the opportunity with Brandon Brown to make them their next big star. Hell, their only star. You had a guy that your fan base could get behind. Maybe you even recapture some of the viewers that you've lost and quit setting record low television ratings. Instead, you squander it. They disassociate themselves. Let me know how that works, NASCAR. Let me know how that works. The media attention, gone. Hell, you weren't capitalizing when you had the attention of the mainstream media anyway. I expect NASCAR to continue their streak of record low television ratings this year. I don't know anything about NASCAR, but one thing I do know, alienating your audience does not increase ratings. But let me know what you guys think. NASCAR, essentially going to war with their own fan base. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.